Hey everyone, welcome back. So I recently moved into a new place, and while I was moving some stuff, I kind of looked at all the video games that I had, and I realized that I had a problem. And that problem came in the form of my backlog. As you get older, you realize, I have a habit of buying games that, I tell myself I'm gonna play, and, as adult responsibilities accrue, and you just have, less and less time, you realize that this backlog is only gonna get bigger and bigger and bigger. I do have games that are in my backlog, which are just games that I have that I don't have intentions to play in my collection, but those are not the games I'm going to talk about today. I'm specifically going to be talking about games that I do have intentions of playing at some point. Today, we're going to be going through my backlog. Let's go ahead and get started. I thought it would be actually a good idea before getting started with anything is to go through kind of like the oldest games in my backlog. And what I mean by that is Game Boy Advance era, because that's kind of like my oldest backlog. And for me, the oldest games in my backlog are actually Golden Sun 1 and I guess Golden Sun 2, The Lost Ark. These are two halves of one game, it's amazing that I have both physical copies. I have an analog pocket and a Game Boy Advance. I have multiple ways to play these games, even the digital way. However, I haven't. And I think a big part of that is that, there's so many RPGs in this particular backlog, and I think that was a common theme. There's some other platformers and stuff too, but it's mostly RPGs, and RPGs just take a lot of your time. There's a few obscure RPGs that I really love. But there are also obscure ones that I know that I would have the potential to love that are in my backlog, and I just gotta make time for. So Golden Sun 1 and 2, RPGs that that I've seen held in high regard. And so I kind of wanted to show some respect to these and mention this today on the list. So I think a lot of the Game Boy Advance and GameCube games that I have, I've played already. So the rest of the games in this video are going to be from DS era up. And that kind of goes into the next one, which is The World Ends With You. Now I have the DS version, and I even have the Nintendo Switch. This is the sequel, but I do also have the Nintendo Switch version as well. So this series in general is another collection of games that I have to go through. And I kind of want to start with the original DS version, to be honest with you. I have tried this version a little bit on the Nintendo Switch, and I just personally don't like the motion controls. I feel like it gets really tiring really fast, and I think using the Switch touchscreen is kind of nice, but I kind of want to play this one the way that it was meant to be played. And then I feel like I can jump into that playstyle when it comes to The World Ends With You Neo. This is something that's intrigued me because, of course, character design, Tetsuya Nomura, I really love his work. I know he gets a lot of shit, but I really love Tetsuya Nomura's work. I liked his art style. I think the game has had great reviews. It has an interesting premise. I started it, played about an hour, just never finished it. So I think this is definitely something I'm going to play soon. So next up is Legend of Zelda, Spirit Tracks, and Phantom Hourglass. The Zelda series means so much to me, and because of that, I want to go through these games, especially because Wind Waker is my favorite Zelda game, and this is a direct sequel to that. Even if the gameplay is bad, I kind of want to see it through. I don't think it's going to be as bad. I played a little bit of it. I think I went through the first dungeon. I know this has only technically one dungeon that you just keep repeating. And I know Spirit Tracks is actually thought to be the better game. So that is a game that I plan to go through at some point as well. But, both of these games, not high on the list of priority, but high on the list in the sense that it's still something I plan to beat at some point in my life. Next up are the Professor Layton games. I've heard great things about this, specifically from my friend Hana. Hi Hana, if you're watching. I have the games here, and I do want to play these at some point. I heard that they have beautiful music, and they're fun, and they have a lot of intrigue and fun storytelling. I just have to make time, and that's kind of what it comes down to, is that I also started playing Phoenix Wright recently, and I'm still continuing to play through that. I'm still going through it, and I really enjoy that. But I want to eventually play the crossover with these games, but I don't think I can do that without playing a Professor Layton game, at least one of them. But I've heard these have a really, really great story, so I'm kind of excited to get into these at some point. I just don't know when that's gonna be. So I did lie. I actually do have one set of GameCube games that I do plan to play at some point, and that is I plan to revisit Pokemon Colosseum so I could eventually play Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness. Now Colosseum, I say it's in my backlog only because I played it as a kid and I never really beat the game. And I think I'm a huge fan of this generation of Pokemon. Gen 3 was like my most nostalgic generation. Fire Red, Leaf Green, Pokemon Emerald, and Pokemon Coliseum were all games that I had. I even have like that cable that you plug into your Game Boy Advance, that you plug into your GameCube, and you're able to transfer your Pokemon from Emerald to here so you can battle other people. Like, that was really cool. And I think I really admired that part of the game, and the connectivity that it had. I think I just got to take the time to like go through it again, because I know like technically don't have to play this, but I want to. And I heard that this is actually the better game, so I eventually want to get back to this. But I just remember Coliseum being so cool at the time as a kid, and the main character being a little bit more edgy was kind of cool for me, but I just have to take the time to go through those. I love these old classic Pokemon games in this era where they were a little bit more experimental and stuff. Now they're experimenting in like weird ways that I don't always appreciate, but I miss this. I miss like the slightly edgy Pokemon. So next up, another Nintendo franchise that I need to finish. I played Bayonetta 1, but I have not finished Bayonetta 2 or 3. Bayonetta 2 is a game I plan to play at some point before I play 3. I heard both of these are like great games, and I really enjoyed my time with Bayonetta 1. I think Bayonetta 2 is regarded as the best one, so I think I'll play that at some point. But Bayonetta 3, I got it to support it because of how much I like Bayonetta 1. But I feel like I would rather play Bayonetta 2 on the Switch. But, tell me if I'm wrong. Do you think it's something that's worth playing on the Wii U? I still have mine. I usually just plug it in to play Wind Waker HD or Twilight Princess HD. There's no other reason I have a Wii U other than those two games, and I guess for me, Bayonetta 2, because I don't have another copy of it. But I don't know. What do you guys think? So next up on the list, Batman Arkham Origins, and to add to the Batman Arkham series, Batman Arkham Origins Blackgate. Now, I have both of these games, and the only reason why I feel the need to want to play them is because I'm a huge fan of the Arkham trilogy. Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, and Arkham Knight. I'm a huge fan. I put like hundreds of hours into those games. I never really played Origins, and I think it was just because at the time it was by a different developer than the original team, and so like I didn't take it as seriously, but I hear a lot of good things about this one, and I think a lot of people are telling me how underrated it is. And I think just having this one for the Vita, it might be a fun way to go back to the Vita and just to play through it. I just have to make time for that. So next up on the list, let's move a little bit further. We got Spider-Man Miles Morales. Now, I love Miles. I love his character. And I love the Spider-Verse films. I like what they did with him in that original Spider-Man PS4 game. And Spider-Man 2, like, I played it without feeling lost in the story. But Miles Morales was just one I kind of skipped. And I kind of wish I didn't, and I kind of want to go back just to give it a shot. I really like this cover as well, but other than that, not much else to say about this game other than I'm going to play it at some point. It seems like a really short game. Next up, Alien Isolation, the Nostromo edition. Now, I know that this game has been released on multiple things. Like, you can even play it on your phone now, which is insane. But, I don't know if I want to play it like that. I do want to experience it on the PlayStation 4, and I think the only thing holding me back from playing this is just I'm a chicken when it comes to horror games. I'm not like a good horror game kind of guy. But I want to give this a shot. I'm a huge fan of the Alien franchise, actually. So, Prometheus, all of it. Alien Covenant, Alien 1, 2, kind of 3. I don't love Resurrection, actually, but like most of the Alien movies I actually do like, and I really love Romulus, which recently came out as well. So Isolation just seems to be like up my alley, and I kind of want to experience it because I love the series. So I think I'll have to come to this at some point, but I heard it's a shorter game, so it might be easier to go to. So next up, since we're on the topic of PlayStation, the game I'm currently playing actually is Clair Obscur Expedition 33, otherwise known as Expedition 33. So this is a game I've heard so much buzz about. Hana, again, up in my video again, but like has been loving this game. I really enjoy the music, and I love everything I see about it. I really like the battle system and how intuitive it is. I'm going through the game right now, so I am enjoying it. I'm having a good time with the game. But I haven't gotten that far. I still like exploring a lot of things. So there's a lot of things for me to explore in this game, and I think I just need to give it some more time to sit in with me and kind of just like explore and everything a little bit more. But it's in my backlog, but I'm currently going through it. I don't know if I should still classify it as my backlog, but I think I will until I complete the game. Next up, we're gonna go into my Switch collection. So, Nintendo Switch games, Mega Man Legacy Collection, the Battle Network Legacy Collection, and Mega Man 11. I really like Mega Man. I like the Classic series and Mega Man X series. I haven't really explored the Battle Network series on the Game Boy Advance, but I remember really enjoying the TV show as a kid. And I think that was actually my first exposure to Mega Man before I, started playing the games. But my first exposure to Mega Man as a kid was the Battle Network anime. And I thought that was a really cool way to get into it because it was very unique. I even had like a LAN, and I wish I still had it. But like I had the Mega Man one. My brother had the Proto Man one. And, it was so cool at the time. I remember there's like this one episode where like Mega Man got deleted or something, like, and I remember being very emotional about it, and I thought it was so cool, and they had to like go find Mega Man again. I thought that was a cool arc to have, but really cool. I want to give this series a shot and like just play through it. So, whenever I get a chance, that's something I want to do. And Mega Man 11, just because it's the only classic Mega Man game I have not played. Next up, Hades. I really like Supergiant games. I love Bastion, I love Transistor, and Hades is just one of those games I haven't played. And now there's a Hades 2, so I feel like I really just got to get on it, especially because this doesn't seem to be the game I thought it was. It's actually more of a hack and slash, and I think I want to experience that. So it might be a game I play soonish because it's shorter. I'm trying to like do this thing where I play one long RPG and then a short game to like kind of give it some balance. But yeah, Hades. Next up, Metroid Prime Collection. Now, I know there's a new Metroid Prime game coming out, but I have not played the original Metroid Prime, and I think that's going to be really important for me to experience. I do like the Metroid games. I love Super Metroid. I do like Metroid Dread. I just have not played Prime, and I think it's just like one of those things where I never got a chance to experience it on the GameCube, so I just don't have that nostalgia for it, and I ended up buying it when it came to the Switch, but never took the time to actually go into it and play it. So that's something I do plan to play at some point. I like Samus as a character. I think the gameplay looks really cool. It really does look like you took the 2D game and made it 3D, and I think that's a really cool concept, and I'm kind of curious on how they did it. So I hear good stuff about the Prime series, and obviously with the new one coming out, I feel like I should get to this at some point, but you see my backlog. This is going to take some time to get to. Now, I'm going to kind of put these two together. But Octopath Traveler and Triangle Strategy, they're only because they're made by the same developers. I really got to get into this series because, Octopath Traveler it's a beautiful looking game, and I really love that classic look. I love the idea of it being like different characters that you like meet up with and you collaborate with. But to be honest with you, the one that entices me a little bit more is Triangle Strategy, and I think it's just because it looks like a darker game. And I really, really like these kind of like dark strategy RPGs. I don't know if it has a system similar to Fire Emblem where when your character dies, they stay dead forever. And if that's the case, that'd be crazy. But I think this is the game that piques my interest a little bit more. Octopath Traveler, I feel like it's one of those games where like you had to be there to experience it at the time. And I just feel like I'm out of touch or like I'm late. But I guess it's never too late to get into something. So I'll give it a shot at some point. Triangle Strategy is the one I'm actually more interested in though. So we'll see. Next up is Live Alive or Live Alive. I don't know how to properly say this, but what I can tell you is that my favorite composer, Yoko Shimomura, made the soundtrack for it. That is reason enough for me to play this game. I also just hear really good things about it. That it's just like 4 or 5 short stories in RPG format, and I kind of like the idea of that. So I definitely want to give this a shot. One thing I did realize is that I do have like the European version of this. I don't know if this was released physically in the US, but it's still going to work with my Nintendo Switch, so I don't have a problem with that. Okay, so this is a very obscure kind of low-key RPG that I feel like a lot of people talk about all the time that I just want to play eventually, but it's Suikoden 1 and 2. I got this because this was one of those things that like I knew I was going to play at some point. I had these ready to play on my PlayStation Vita, but playing it on the Switch just makes more sense, especially because it's like an updated HD remaster, probably with some more conveniences. Like those are always really important when it comes to like these HD remasters. It makes it easier for me to play as an adult because I can get through things a little bit easier. But man, I've heard great things about these games, and so it's still in my list to play. Still plan on playing that. All right, you guys are gonna be pissed because I told you guys that I would finish this game before I made another video, but I didn't, and it's Final Fantasy 12. So Final Fantasy 12, like this is the only single player Final Fantasy I haven't played, but I have tried. Like I've tried to start this up a couple times, and I'm gonna be honest with you guys, it's just the battle system. Like I don't, it's really hard for me to get into these kind of like MMO kind of looking battle systems, especially when they're single player. It's just, I don't like the look and feel of it. Maybe I just have to push through and find the enjoyment once it gets more complex, and maybe the story will drag me in a little bit more. But just this one's the hardest one for me to get into, and I can't tell you why. Like I don't love Final Fantasy 13, but I can at least say that I kind of liked the battle system. This one I can't say that. I literally just, I have to give it a shot though, because I always hear that this is one of the most like underrated Final Fantasies, and I played every single player Final Fantasy up to this point. This is literally the last one on my list. Final Fantasy Tactics, the Ivalice Chronicles. So this is the original Final Fantasy Tactics remastered. Now I will be transparent with you, this is the next game after Expedition 33. This is the next game on my list. I have been intrigued by this game for so many years. And this has just been something that I've been just, you know, waiting for. Like I've been waiting for an HD remaster version of this game, and now that it's finally here on the Nintendo Switch, I feel like, man, the Nintendo Switch is my biggest backlog by far. And like I need to like stop buying Switch games until I get through this, but this is one of those games that was recent that I just had to get, because I don't know the next time they're gonna really do something like this. It took them this long just to remaster this, so who knows. But really excited for this. I love that it gives you the option to play the original as well. I think that's a really excellent idea, but I can't wait to get into this eventually. Pokemon Legends Arceus. Now this is just one of those games, like I haven't even opened the packaging. Like it is a game I plan to play, but I have not fallen in love with Pokemon for quite some time. I actually recently revisited Pokemon White 2 and beat that game. And I felt like that was a very easy game for me to play and pick up, because it was like you can put it in a DS, fold it, take it around. It was just easier for me to get through. And so I recently replayed that and really enjoyed my experience with it. Especially after you beat the game, that post game is something else. And Pokemon Legends Arceus is in one of my favorite regions in the Pokemon series, and it's Gen 4. And I hear a lot of great things about it, and I'm willing to give it a shot. I think the only thing I hate about Pokemon games nowadays is just the constant performance issues I hear about, and that really takes me out of the experience, and I just worry about that part of the game taking me out of the experience, but I'm willing to give it a shot if the rest of the experience is still good. So Pokemon Legends Arceus is on my backlog. I don't think I'm going to get to it this year, definitely not this year, but I do plan to get to it as soon as possible, but until then I should say, it's going to take some time. And finally, for my physical collection, Sea of Stars. This is another game that this is probably the game I play after Final Fantasy Tactics. Or maybe I do Hades and then this. I kind of have like a list of how I want to play these. Because Hades might be a little bit shorter and easier to play through before I get to this, because it's another long RPG. But it's a I would say JRPG inspired Western RPG. That's what catches my attention a little bit. I've heard great things about the story, the characters, and I really like that when you open it, it gives you like a little booklet and stuff. And I think, you know, anytime a game does that, it's reaching to my heartstrings, because I'm one of those kids that grew up with, like, you know, you get a new game and the first thing you do in the car is read the booklet. This gives me that vibe, and I can't wait to go into this game for that reason. Okay, finally, I thought it would be a good idea to go into my backlog of digital games. So physical games, we always talk about our backlogs there, and they're like the most, you know, obvious ones because we could see them. Digital games, you know, a little bit different. I think with digital games, it's much easier to forget. So I think it'll be fun to go through this really quick. So first one on the list is a Nintendo 3DS game. It's Star Fox 64 3D. I haven't played the original, nor have I played the 3DS version, but you know, everyone talks about how fun and classic it is and how easy it is to beat. Just something I gotta go through at some point. I don't really have strong opinions about this one, so I'm just gonna move to the next one. So next up, Triforce Heroes. So this is kind of a weird one because I really enjoy Legend of Zelda: Link Between Worlds. I think it's my favorite handheld Zelda game. And Triforce Heroes uses that same art style, but it's like really goofy. I think the plot of it is like Zelda has like a bad makeover and you're having to find outfits for her or something like that. It's like really dumb, but like maybe the puzzles are good and like that's the thing I should focus on. But I think it's just kind of like an odd game, but it is in my to-do list just because it is a Zelda game, and I think Zelda games tend to have really good dungeons and quality for gameplay, even if they don't always have the best story. So next up is Kirby Planet Robo, or Planet Robobot. That's kind of a weird way to say that, but this is a game I thought about too, but it's one of those things where like you don't really think about it. I think it's just because it's a Kirby game, so you kind of know what you're getting, but this one tends to have really good reviews if you're a Kirby fan, and it feels like you can get through it pretty fast, so one of those short games I need to get through. This is a huge one, but it's going to be the entire Mario and Luigi series. Now, this is funny because there's Mario and Luigi Paper Jam, Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, and Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story. All three of these composed by my favorite composer, Yoko Shimomura, once again. So my biggest reason to play this is the music, but also just Mario RPGs in general. I think one reason why I haven't personally played them is just because original Mario RPG I did play through and I didn't love it like I thought I would. A lot of people really hyped me up that it was like one of the best RPGs ever made. And when I played it, it was like cute, but like, you know, it's just cute. It was fun. It had like some fun moments. It's definitely like more for kids though. And I kind of felt like that way going into these, and that's just kind of how Mario is. That's his brand, you know, like, you know, family friendly, like Mickey Mouse. But I think I just wanted a little bit more depth, at least with some of the other side characters. Like Gino was probably the closest one I could feel things for, but I don't know. Just so I'm hoping eventually when I get through the series, that's gonna take some time. Like really low on the list, but it is something I plan on playing. But still something I think about, and I think I want to get to it eventually. I think that concludes the video. I actually was expecting a little bit larger of a backlog. I mean, don't get me wrong, this is a really, really huge backlog of games that I have to get through at some point. And because of that reason, I just can't justify purchasing any new games unless it's like Kingdom Hearts 4 or something crazy like that, which like of course I'm gonna get it, like that series means the world to me, or like a new Sonic game or Zelda game or something like that. But if it's not any of those, or like a new Final Fantasy or something, like I have no intention of buying new games. I have so many games that I have to get through, and I think it's just part of growing up, being an adult. I think one of the things I want to make sure I do is just spend less time scrolling through social media, and I think I want to make it a point to at least get through this backlog, so like this collection isn't just sitting here and collecting dust, because at the end of the day, these games are meant to be played and used and enjoyed, and I do view these sorts of games, especially these story-based games, as like works of art, because it does take a long time to like write stories, put the music together, artwork, and all that stuff to come together and make something that's art, right? So definitely something I want to get to, because I really do believe in that, and I really enjoy that part of gaming. But yeah, that's it for today's video. Thanks for stopping by, learning a little bit about my backlog, and letting me pour a little bit of my shame and venting to you guys about it. Until next time, take care.